It's just a wedding photo. Nothing unusual at first glance. A smiling bride, a proud groom, friends, family, sunlight. Everyone looks happy. But if you look closer, there's something else in the frame. Something small, almost invisible. A detail so ordinary nobody questioned it. Not the photographer, not the guests, not even the bride. And yet, that one detail would later change everything. Because months after this picture was taken, people began asking the same question. How did no one notice it sooner? Emily Carter lived the kind of life most people would describe as steady, predictable, comfortable. She worked as a primary school teacher in a quiet town, the kind where everyone recognizes each other at the grocery store, the kind where nothing dramatic ever seems to happen. Her friends described her as warm, soft-spoken, the person who remembered birthdays. And then there was Daniel. They met at a coworker's birthday party. Nothing cinematic, no dramatic sparks. Just a conversation that lasted longer than expected. Daniel was calm, thoughtful, the type who listened more than he spoke. Within a year, they were inseparable. Weekend road trips, coffee before work, shared playlists. To outsiders, they seemed perfectly matched. And when Daniel proposed, on a quiet hill overlooking the coast, Emily said yes before he even finished asking. The wedding planning moved quickly. Small ceremony, close family, just 50 guests. Everything about it felt simple, peaceful, exactly how Emily wanted it. And on a warm afternoon in June, they said their vows. The photographer snapped dozens of pictures. Laughter, confetti, champagne glasses raised in the air. One photo in particular stood out. Emily and Daniel standing side by side, hands gently touching, both smiling directly at the camera. It became their favorite. They framed it, placed it in their living room, sent copies to family. Nobody saw anything strange. Not yet. 3 months later, Emily's sister, Rachel, visited for the weekend. They spent the afternoon catching up, talking about work, marriage, future plans. At some point, Rachel noticed the framed wedding photo on the shelf. She picked it up casually, smiled, and then paused. "Did you crop this?" she asked. Emily shook her head. "No, that's the original." Rachel leaned closer. "It's probably nothing," she said quickly, placing it back. Emily didn't think much of it. But later that night, she looked again. At first, she saw what everyone else saw, herself, smiling, Daniel beside her. Then she noticed something near Daniel's shoulder. A hand, resting lightly on him. At first, she assumed it belonged to someone standing behind them, but the angle didn't quite make sense. The fingers looked tense, almost gripping. She told herself she was overthinking. Weddings are crowded, people lean in, someone probably stepped into frame. Still, she found herself zooming in on the digital copy. The hand didn't belong to Emily. She was holding her bouquet, and it didn't belong to anyone visible. It seemed to come from just outside the frame. Emily sent the photo to the photographer. "Do you have the original RAW file?" she asked. He replied quickly, "Yes, why?" When he sent it back, the image looked identical. Nothing cropped, nothing edited. The hand was still there. She began checking other photos from the same moment. In most of them, there was no hand, only in that one, which made it stranger. She asked Daniel if he remembered someone standing close behind them. He frowned. "No, I don't think so." He seemed genuinely confused. But Emily noticed something subtle. He didn't ask why she was wondering. He didn't look concerned. Just distant. A week later, she visited her parents. Her mother studied the photo. "Maybe it's just perspective," she suggested. But then she said something else. "Daniel looks tense here." Emily hadn't noticed that before. His smile wasn't as relaxed as hers. His shoulders were slightly raised, as if he felt pressure. Emily began revisiting memories. Small things. Daniel occasionally checking his phone and stepping outside. Moments when he seemed distracted. Times he avoided certain questions. Nothing alarming, just pieces. Then she found something unexpected. While organizing wedding photos, she discovered a short video clip, taken seconds before the picture. Guests were laughing, the photographer was adjusting the lens. Emily was smiling. Daniel looked over his shoulder briefly, as if someone had called his name. But no one in the video spoke. He turned back quickly. The picture was taken. That same frame. That same hand. Now the question wasn't just, whose hand is that? It became, who was he looking at? Eventually, Daniel offered an explanation. He said one of his coworkers had been standing behind them. "She must have leaned in," he said casually. Emily felt relieved. It made sense. Crowded wedding, people shifting around. The mystery seemed solved. She stopped thinking about it. Life moved on. Work, dinner plans, weekend visits. The photo remained on the shelf. Quiet. Unchanged. But then, 6 weeks later, Emily attended a small gathering with Daniel's colleagues, and she met the coworker he had mentioned. They talked for a while. At one point, Emily asked casually, "Do you remember standing behind us in the wedding photo?" The coworker looked confused. "I wasn't near you," she said. "I was across the garden." And just like that, the explanation disappeared. Emily went home and looked at the photo again. This time, she noticed something else. A ring on the hand. A thin silver band. Not a wedding ring. Not decorative. Simple. Worn. She zoomed further. The ring looked familiar. Very familiar. She walked into the bedroom, opened Daniel's drawer. Inside was a small velvet box. She had seen it before, but never opened it. Inside was a matching silver band. Worn. Identical. When Daniel came home, she asked quietly, "Who does that ring belong to?" He froze. For a moment, neither spoke. Then he sighed. He told her everything. Before meeting Emily, he had been in a long-term relationship. They had broken up months before the wedding. But she showed up that day. Unexpectedly. She stood behind him during the photo, placed her hand on his shoulder. He didn't stop her. He didn't tell Emily. He hoped no one would notice. And for months, no one did. What makes this story unsettling isn't the hand itself. It's how easily the mind filters things out. When we look at a happy moment, we expect harmony. Our brains fill in gaps, ignore inconsistencies. A wedding photo is supposed to represent joy, commitment, closure. So when something doesn't fit, we subconsciously overlook it. The small tension in Daniel's shoulders, the glance behind him, the unfamiliar hand.
all visible, all ignored, because we only see what we expect to see. And sometimes, the truth hides in plain sight. The photo still exists. Same smiles, same sunlight. But now it tells a different story. Not just of a wedding, but of a moment suspended between past and future. One hand holding on, another letting go. It reminds us that the smallest details can hold the biggest truths. And sometimes, the thing nobody notices is the thing that changes everything.